right, welcome into the Questionable Podcast. You got Scotty questions here on this winning Monday with Miko.
What's good, man?
What's up, dude? And Gian is back.
Great
What's
to be
up, Gian?
back. Great
Oh,
to be
is it?
here.
How great! It's great to
Uh,
have you.
Especially coming on the heels of yet another Lions victory. It's amazing to be back.
On the heels.
Considering the
heels.
circumstances.
Yes, and speaking, and we're gonna get into that. But first, please like, follow, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Also, head over to questionabletees.com. Our Black Friday sale is currently live, so please check that out. Get some discounts on the sweet merch we're doing. So now that we got that out the way, we're gonna hop right in here.
Let's go. I said the Lions won a game. Man, we going all the way, baby. We about to celebrate. Why? Because the Lions won a game.
And the Lions won again, 31
3 in a row, baby.
in a row, 31-18 against the New York Giants, and was just a solid showing. And you know, just like the song says, you know, they're gonna celebrate, and they did in the locker room. And the the quick post game interview
Beautiful.
with Jamal. It's like, yo, let me give you a shout out to my crew. It was great. What a great day. I was shocked. I was actually yelling at my phone. You know, we were doing a little family skate on Sunday, so I had it. I'm superstitious now. I'm not watching. I'm just listening now. For the past 3 weeks, I just listen, and I have to pick against them every week now, John. So like that's the other thing too. I know you probably heard it last week, but wow, what a game all around. You know, Miko.
Speaking of last week, I want to jump in. And speaking of last week, you guys had a whole. I think this is a great entry point. You guys had a whole thing about how much you hate Mark Sanchez and Tony Romo as the commentators.
Yeah, I don't hate Romo.
And I'm sitting here saying,
yeah,
that's why I watch the games on mute.
It's
watching the games on mute would solve this problem for you guys.
No,
it's
not though, because then hold on, because this is the thing that you have to explain to me. If you're watching the game on mute, is it like you're sitting in front of the TV and it's on mute, and like you're just watching things happen, or like are you doing other things and like occasionally looking at the TV?
Most often, I'm doing other things.
Okay, so that's sometimes not count. Like that doesn't count because like
right
in that point you're like, it's almost like you're not really watching.
But I did watch the first half of this past Sunday in front of the TV with it on mute, but I had music on. I was listening to music instead.
Yeah, I mean, this was a good like game to actually probably watch unmuted because Greg Olsen is a really good commentator. Like as far as like former players that do commentary, he's like really, really good.
No, it was a great listen. I was on the ice. We were skating. I was carrying Arden around the ice going.
I did hear there was some suspect when I don't know, when there were a ton of injuries this game, but when someone went down, it was very suspect. That's when they started talking about Greg Olsen's hairline. Like some dude like went down with like a potential like I think it was Derek Barnes like went down with like potential like back injury. Like was not moving getting up, and they're like, oh, look at this high school photo from Greg Olsen and look at that hairline.
Yeah, they had something going on with like whoever the other guy that was doing commentary with Greg Olsen, like they were showing like high school photos, and it just so happened like when they queued that segment up, somebody got hurt on the field. So it's like it's poor timing, but like you know, it's a segment that's planned. Nobody
read
planned
the room, guys. Read the room.
Nobody planned. Derek Barnes should have a stronger back then. You know what?
Well, he was back in action a few plays later, though.
Okay, we'll see. No problem. No harm, no foul.
Yeah, that's true.
so anyway,
we digress. It's going to be a fun show. It's going to be a fun one.
It is, and they won. Like we said, the third game in a row. Beat the Giants. You know, I think that I did pick the Giants to win, but I did say I was rooting for the Lions, and I thought they had a chance. And boy, did they ever show up. I still thought that overall a good game. I think that what's his that's I can't. Our head coach, please.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, no, Dan Campbell. Sorry, no, I'm having one of those moments right now. No, DC Dan Campbell. I thought he's kind of. It feels like he's kind of coming into his own. a little bit. Like he took the points when they were there. He used his punter, right? Instead of going for like he punted, knocked him in. I mean, I thought it was overall from everybody. I still think we have third quarter issues. We got through it this week better than we have before, but I still feel like our third quarters are not great.
No, I think
it was the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I think, yeah, you're right. It is still an issue, but this is what it looks like when you play complementary football, though, right? Like, if the offense is struggling, the defense just has to hold until they kind of get it going again. And that's kind of what happened in this game. I think in watching this, like, it says right on the screen that the Lions dominated. Like, it was, for me, it was pure domination from like kickoff to end. I mentioned this last week that like Luke and I kind of got into it when it came down to the Packers game about like he said that the Lions dominated the Packers, and I was like, I didn't see domination. I just saw two really bad teams playing really bad football,
right?
And somebody had to win. This was domination. Like
it was.
The Giants couldn't do anything well, and even like the little bit of like passing success that they had, it was just like it was the same type of plays, and it wasn't anybody consistently. Like once Wan'Dale Robinson went down, they had no answers, and they had no one that they could count on in the passing game.
Slayton had probably the most catches, but that was it. You got one guy. I mean, and he's no Amon-Ra St. Brown. You know what I mean? He's not a game changer. Like Amon-Ra could get the ball and make plays. I mean, and to your point of complementary football, Miko, yeah, that's exactly what it was. And the defense, and we talked about this last week a little bit, is timing, right? When they had to make a play, when the Giants were getting down the field a little bit and were about to get some momentum, nope, interception, nope, sack, nope, like fumble recovery. Like and Aiden Hutchinson's like fingerprints were all over that. Alim McNeil, oh my gosh, what a game. What? And John, I know you've been an Alim fan for a while. How do you feel about that? That's got to feel pretty good.
It was great. It was great to see, because this whole time you've heard them talking about a 330-pound man has no business being able to move the way he can move. He played running back in college. And so this was great to see, because from my perspective, like in the abstract, you're like, oh man, like a 330-pound human being who played running back and is that athletic, who's nicknamed from the coaches Twinkle Toes because he's just that agile, should be like taking over games. Like he should be a one-man wrecking crew. But I understand, it's the NFL. Everyone's, the talent level is just so ridiculously high. But it was really good to see him, live up to my abstract, what an abstract idea of an extremely agile and athletic 330-pound man should be able to do.
They were trying to double team him, and he was just like, nope.
Yeah.
No. Like that was crazy. That was great to see. I mean,
Alim's performance, to me at least, it justified the criticism that I think I had of him like a couple weeks ago when I was like, Alim's just not playing well. Like, cause like you can't tell me that you looked at yesterday's game and been like, oh no, Alim's been doing that all year. Like he hasn't.
Right.
He hasn't.
He can. That's the thing. He can. So where's it been? So yeah, Miko, good call on your part.
Well, yeah, because I think there's a lot of people that like what typically happens when teams start having success, like teams that were bad and they start having success, is that they like to call people out, or they like to point out like, oh, you guys were so down. And it's like, yeah, for a reason. Like they did still lose. Like just because they're winning 3 games in a row doesn't like eliminate the 5 games in a row that they lost. Like that, like you don't get to do that either. Like those 5 losses still happened. And a lot of those losses were on the defense. And so looking at what the defense is doing now, and you have like the guys that you expected, like going into the season, like John was saying, the guys that you expected to show up, Alim showing up, Aiden showing up, obviously Tracy's not there, but you have guys in the secondary, Kirby's, making interceptions and getting turnovers. It's a reassuring feeling, because it's like, okay, this is kind of what we thought we would see from the start of the season, and now they're finally rounding into shape.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun to watch, right? I watched the replay condensed on the NFL app, which is awesome for those that haven't done that yet. I mean, overall, it was just a dominating performance. I mean, it was. Saquon couldn't do anything. He couldn't run anywhere. What did he get?
25 yards.
Total
25 yards, and I think he averaged like 2.2 yards per carry.
Yeah. So that was ridiculous. They couldn't.
Sorry, 1.5.
Daniel Jones, the only thing that he could do was run, right? He did nothing. Like the only big plays were when he would scamper down the field a little bit. Galladay with a couple of catches, good for you, whatever, who cares? Kayvon, did he even play? I think Galladay did too, but
did he?
No, he
I heard
one.
it. What? Oh, yeah, because
No,
they
wait,
had
no, he had two.
Kirby
He had
Joseph.
two.
he did too.
Who? Then who were they saying that who had like a Detroit Lions defender had as many catches as Kenny Galladay?
Oh, because Kenny only has 3 on the season.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, 3 on the season. Okay, yeah. So Kirby Joseph has as many catches as Kenny Galladay. Yeah, that was it.
On the season, yeah.
Right. He didn't even bring up Kirby. It was a solid pick, bad throw, but he was right there to take it. I mean, and yeah, go ahead, Miko.
No, I was gonna say, like, to your point about like the Giants didn't really have much going. I mean, Daniel Jones statistically had a pretty decent game, right? He threw for over 300 yards, he ran for 70. But this is one of the reasons why, like, in our text group, I sent you guys like 3 things that like really stood out to me in the game, and that's why on one of those things on the list was that I felt like Dan Campbell like greatly outcoached Brian Daboll in this game, and I feel like it was evident from jump in that like, and I say that by saying like they had a game plan. The Lions had a better game plan and had a better counterpunch to anything the Giants had. The Giants had no counterpunch once the Lions took away the run game, and like once it was like established, like, oh, there is no run game.
You're not running anywhere, right?
Yeah, they had nothing else to do, and so it is a like you look at like how the plays break down, and I'm not gonna go like exactly play by play, but like you look at the first half where like, okay, Lions get the ball, they go down, they get a field goal. Giants respond, they go back and they get a touchdown, and then like, but like after that, like it's nothing. Like it's nothing from the Giants for the rest of the second half. And it's a lot of like, it's just a defensive battle going back and forth. Giants getting it, like Giants punt, Giants get an interception, Giants punt, and then it's the end of the half. And in between that, the Lions have already gone down and got 2 touchdowns.
Right. Like, and Graham Gannott missed how many extra points? Graham,
he missed 2 of those. 2 of those.
2 or 3. I thought it was 3, but regardless. Yeah, I mean, really this game, I mean, we let him have a touchdown. I mean, really, they again at the end they scored and missed the 2-point conversion. So it was really, to me, 31-12 was the game, right? I mean now as a Lions fan, I'm still a little nervous at the end, like, okay, like how did they come back? I was still nervous, but with the way we were playing, the defense was playing, I was still confident. But in the back of my head, it's just like, please don't blow this, like please don't.
When it was 24,
I was more confident we would win than we were going to blow it, but there has a little part of me in there with like
PTSD.
Being
a Lions fan.
Over that. Got to get over that. And I do, Tamiko, to your point about them not being able to run the ball, we were able to run the ball, and our O-line played really well. Like they really played well, and I think that was a big part of the offense as we talk about this and how we were able to run, and we're going to run right up the gut, and we're just going to start there. And even if it's not working, right, there was a handful of runs that they didn't get anywhere, and they got to Jamal, and but I thought Jamal played well. I thought Justin Jackson played well as well. Like he had a really solid game. I mean, he's like we talked about last week. He's getting some of those tough yards. He's in there. He doesn't care. Just like Jamal. Like I'm going right in. And then Jamal on the touchdown, the first touchdown, dude trucked. For number 52, I forget, but him going in, I was like, oh, they're gonna stop him because they had like 3 guys on him. I don't know if it was Panay, maybe that started the block, or it was a tight end that came over. I don't remember, but he went through and he trucked that dude, Jamal. There was no way he wasn't getting in the end zone. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, damn.
Well, I mean, to piggyback, I think like to your point, the O-line and like all 3 running backs actually did well. I think we really are like downplaying the impact that Swift is having on these games because it's not what it was in the beginning of the season. It's not 50-yard runs out the gate. And so it's like, oh, well, Swift's not doing his part.
Yeah, I didn't say that. I just didn't bring
No, I'm not talking about you. Yeah, okay, I'm not talking about you though. I'm talking about people in general because this is the second week in a row where like a play is being highlighted of Swift, where it's like, oh, well, see, he missed this lane, and it could have been a big gain. Swift still had he only had 5 carries, still had 20 yards. He still averaged 4 yards per carry. That's more than Jamal had.
And he
like,
only
he averaged
had
a better.
17.
Yeah, and Jamal had 17 carries. Like, Swift's not getting the carries, but when he's getting the carries that he's getting, he's still making the most out of them.
Totally agree. And when you don't get that many carries, Miko, in any sport, you're not going to get any sort of rhythm. So he's, on and off the field, he's not getting he's not getting the touches. So you're not going to get a feel for the game as well. You got to give it that a little bit too for him. So like for what he's doing in the role he needs to play, he is doing that. I agree with you.
It's something that's been like it's been kind of bothering me the last few weeks, because it's like, oh, well, Swift's not doing his job. And it's like, he's also not getting the opportunity to do his job.
Right.
Like, he really is getting like 4 or 5 carries a game, which is, again, part of it probably is to keep him healthy, to keep him fresh. That's like the best I can assume that this is keeping him fresh and keeping him healthy. But it's the same thing that I said when TJ Hawkinson was here, where I feel like Hawk being here made things easier for other people. I do still believe the same thing is true for DeAndre Swift. Having DeAndre Swift available and on the roster just makes defenses like have to contend with things a little bit differently than if he wasn't here.
Like if he was out injured.
Like if he's just out and injured, like, and if you were just rolling into games with just Jamal and Justin Jackson, like, I think it would be easier to scheme for those guys and know what they're going to do. Jamal runs the same plays every week. It's literally like it's some sort of inside dive. It's something that's up the middle, and that's not a knock on him, but it's a telltale of like each of these backs has like their set packages of plays that they get. Jamal gets all the runs up the middle. Swift and Jackson kind of get like these outside zone plays, and then Swift typically gets like all the screen plays, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That would make sense, right? If him healthy on the roster is more helpful than him out, right? And
that's kind of how I look at it. But it's like the narrative that I think that's been spewed lately is that like he's just not good anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little recency bias.
You mean that's dumb?
That too. I mean, I'm being nice by saying that, but
Right.
it's dumb to think that DeAndre Swift is still not the most talented running back that you have on this team.
Yeah.
John, what was the big takeaway for you from this game?
Thank you. Because I want to go way back to what Miko said about complimentary football and what you had said about the third quarter. And my biggest takeaway was, not that you don't want to play 4 quarters, but if you're going to play 3 quarters, it's way easier to play 3 quarters when you score a bunch in the first half. that buffer that you give yourself, like, allows the defense the breathing room of like, okay, like the game isn't entirely on our shoulders. We have to play perfectly. It's like, we got a 14, 17 point buffer. Like, we can give up a play. Like, not that you want to give up a play, but like the stakes aren't as high and as dire. So I do think that relieves, that's just a pressure valve. Also, I want to go back to you saying about what's his name? Dan Campbell.
The guy who coaches the team.
Who coaches the team?
The coach.
That's fine.
Out
Make fun of me.
coaching. I thought it was Daboll, but I watch the games on mute, so I wouldn't know.
Daboll.
So
Yeah,
Daboll.
It's Daboll. Yeah.
And Daboll. That's one. So my big takeaway, I think, is that's why I liked this win so much. With Green Bay, you're absolutely right. It was just 2 teams who were just fighting to lose, and just someone had to win, and like 2 offenses that just couldn't do anything right. And then but I do think the Lions were the better team in that day, and that was a game we should have won, and we did. Yeah. And the Bears, much more evenly matched. The Bears are decent. Make no mistake about that. And like that game, so Packers, we should have won. Bears, 50-50, toss up. You're in Chicago. They're pretty good. Justin Fields is just becoming who a lot of people thought he could become, and that's pretty scary. So that was 50-50. We won that game. This was a game where it was like the Cowboys game. It's like, oh, this is clearly a good team. And are we going to be able to rise to the challenge? It's not, this is a game we should win. We did win. Kind of like that was the huge knock on, Schwartz, Caldwell, all those guys, is that, yeah, they won the games that they should, but they never kind of rose to that level and like beat a better team. Someone on Twitter posted that thing of like, the coaches' records of finishing records against teams 5 games or more over 500, and it was Schwartz 0-10, Caldwell 0-9, Patricia 0-6, and then Dan Campbell 3-0. And I mean, he's going to be here a while just based on that stat alone. And so that was a game should win, did 50-50, won, and now I don't know. I think they're going to lose, and we won. And so this progression of challengers, like we're leveling up. And now we're talking about Thanksgiving like it's, if things go our way, if the Bills' kind of difficulties continue, then that one's winnable too. Talking about winning being infectious, and it's just absolutely incredible to see. Last thing I'll say, my big takeaway, and then I'll throw it back to you guys, about the head coach's, whatever his name is, his coaching. He's not even paying attention. He's not even paying attention.
I'm writing my notes down. Writing my notes. Writing my notes
about him out coaching. And like, that was my other biggest takeaway, was not only was this like on paper, or at least by record, a superior team. The Lions went in, as you said, Miko, with a plan. Stop the run, make Daniel Jones beat us, force him to make mistakes, because he does. And that was the plan, and they executed that plan. It wasn't, we started the game with this script, but the script went to shit, and then we scrambled, and we just fought and clawed, kind of like the Bears. I feel like that's what happened to the Bears. We fought and we clawed, and we just persevered. And this one was, we had a plan, and we executed that plan, and it freaking worked. And that was what was great to see.
Yeah, I think to that point, like, that's why I say, like, Brian Daboll never adjusted. It felt like he went into this game, like, the longer this game went on, it just kept feeling like he just thinks his team is better. Like, he just thinks his team can just out talent the Lions in this situation. And make no mistake about it, defensively, I do believe they're more talented. That defensive front is nasty. Dexter Lawrence put a move on Frank Ragnow like in the first half, and I was like, if he does that all game, Jared Goff is not getting out of here in one piece. Like, that's how good they are up front. But it's just like they never had like any type of preparation, because we've talked about this. Jared Goff is very easy to scheme. He's not like, it's not a mystery on like how you throw him off his game. You pressure him and you play man coverage, and he throws bad passes. Like, that's how this works.
Right.
And they never did it. They never, like, I mean, again, they got some pressure here and there, and Goff made some good timely throws here and there, but he also made some really bad ones when he was rushed, and they just never did it enough. Daniel Jones gashed the Lions in the first half a couple times on some runs and just scrambles outside of the pocket, and they just never did it consistently. Like, it's like Brian Daboll was content with like, no, we'll just have him drop back. And it's like, you realize that when he's on the run, he's killing us.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's him running the ball or just rolling out of the pocket and extending the play, he is killing us. Our linebackers could not keep up with anybody on a crossing route. The number of times I saw, wearing the Rodrigo hoodie, love Rodrigo. The number of times I saw him trailing was ridiculous. Like, just being outran on routes. And so, but Brian Daboll never adjusted. It's like he believed his own hype, because they've won so many games close.
I was just gonna say that.
High on his own supply.
Yeah. So this was even their their fans and stuff like that were saying that this could be a trap game for them, right? Because they were 7-2. feeling themselves. And what was interesting is I was like, yeah, we'll see. And it's the Lions too, right? I mean, the Lions, a lot of teams like just say, oh, like we're just going to beat them. We don't need to practice for them. But what was interesting is when Daboll came out of the tunnel and they were interviewing him, I'm like, okay, what adjustments you're making? He goes, we're not doing anything. We're not changing anything. I'm confident our guys are we'll just win. And that was so he didn't do anything at halftime and was like, no, we'll be fine. And
Wait, he actually said that?
He said that. Yes, to like Lisa Salters or I forget who it was coming out of half. And yeah, he's like, no, we're not changing anything. We're not changing a thing. That's what he said. And I'm like, okay, like you're really feeling yourself. So exactly to your point, that's what I heard in that moment. I'm like, I go, that's good for us. That's what I took away. I was like, this could work.
Well, yeah, because again, Saquon is the type of if you're trying to run your offense through Saquon, there's a lot of other things you can do with Saquon other than just run him up the middle. He's a great receiver. You can put him out and have him catch some passes. There's a lot of other things. Matt Breida was actually kind of killing us on a couple of the runs that he got.
He was.
Yeah,
yep, he was.
Like, and so it speaks to a little bit of arrogance in that of like, okay, we're 7-2. This team is, they're hot. They've won 2 in a row, but we can, again, if we can keep it close or again, thinking that maybe they'll just collapse or they'll make mistakes. But this is what happens when that doesn't go your way. And then on top of that, the Giants started taking on injuries. So like now you don't even have the personnel to maybe help you claw back out of this hole. Like I do think Adoree Jackson probably going down was probably like the biggest thing to probably cripple that defense.
That hurt.
Because you lost your top corner and then again, we don't have like our top receivers out there outside of Amon-Ra, but like that's all you kind of need. That's all Goff needs is like one person to just pick up a couple yards here and there.
Right. Kennedy did that. He had one catch, right? That was a big catch.
Timely.
Love Kennedy. His timing has been impeccable the past couple weeks.
Campbell calls him Mr. Reliable for a reason.
And but Amon-Ra, dude, I mean, he had some great plays and timely catches too. Reynolds had a solid game. I mean, his number got called a couple times. He had a couple solid catches. He was
You mean
getting
Raymond?
Sorry.
I was gonna say Reynolds didn't play in this one.
I'm having trouble with names today.
Can't remember our head coach. Can't tell the difference between our 5'8" wide receiver and our 6'3" wide receiver.
Not today. Not today.
But no.
Sorry, go ahead. You can finish.
I was gonna go back to the offensive line though. Like that is kind of like as far as offensively, because they put up 31 points. And it's a weird, like, this is what I call like a quiet 31 to me. Because you look at the stat sheet and it's Jared Goff doesn't have like this ridiculous game that like jumps out at you. He only threw for like 167 yards or something like that. No passing touchdowns. 165 passing yards, no touchdowns. Your leading rusher was Justin Jackson with 66 yards. But then you look and it's like, okay, Jamal gets 3 touchdowns. DeAndre gets a touchdown. And it's just like, oh, so that's kind of how they did it. I think they had a field goal in there as well. So it's just like, it's a really quiet 31, but it's really on the back of your offensive line. It's those guys getting the push. It's those guys keeping Goff clean enough so that he can game manage, essentially.
Yep, and that was a point I was going to make. That is where Goff was successful in LA, right? They were running the ball, and their O-line was amazing. He had time, and that's when he played his best. I mean, you can see it. He can play like in that type of a game, but
it's not it's again, this is not to bash him, but it's like it's also the reason why like he can't be the quarterback of the future. It's the same thing I said, I think when they beat Green Bay. Like this play is not good enough.
I agree, it's not good enough. But
to take you to the playoffs or take you, and even if it lucks you into the playoff, because Jimmy Garoppolo has made a career out of this, it's clearly not good enough to help you win a Super Bowl. You don't win Super Bowls off of that type of quarterback performances. You just don't.
Yeah, I mean, look at. I mean, you said in the game day text thread, like Daniel Jones, like he's not Lamar Jackson, but gashing us time and time again. Every time he did, it was effective, and it went for between 5 and 12 every single time.
And it's like you still found yourself like, I want that. Like again, I don't need Justin Fields. I don't need Lamar Jackson, but I need the kind of quarterback that like when a lane opens up, that he's gonna take it. You know, again, you hate bringing in other quarterbacks when you're trying to like compare to your own, but like watching Monday night's game, I've seen Colt McCoy do it a couple times, and that dude's 36. He's doing it. Justin Herbert did it a couple times last night. Patrick Mahomes did it in a big moment last night to help them pretty much ice that game and complete that comeback. Like mobility is, it's hard to say that it's not a necessity at this point. When you look at, you know, quarterbacking in the NFL, it feels like a necessity. You don't have to have like 4.4 speed, but you need to be able to roll out. You need to be able to act like step up in the pocket and be able to pick up 5 to 7 yards if it's there.
Yeah, like to Goff's credit, I will say, like he did it late in the Bears game. He picked up like 7 with his legs, and then he did twice. He did twice yesterday. One of which was called back for a holding, a very soft holding, if you ask me. But
agree, but that was a good run by him. He got some.
But it was a solid run. Like he would have gotten like 9. He 100% would have gotten the first down, and that's like
he did pick up the first down on that one.
Yeah, he did get the first down.
He got the first. I think he got like 13, 14 yards on that. I kept thinking he was gonna get smacked because he like, I was like, dude, he does not have the awareness. He does not have the awareness to be making this run, and I just kept waiting to see like one of the safeties just coming out of nowhere and just
cut him in half,
just throwing their body at him.
But so one quick point, since we're kind of talking about the run game, and you said a very quiet 31, and I totally agree. And I'm very curious if this is why Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson were so high on Jason Kabinda going into the season, and like maybe what we were missing of like, because I feel like he, you know, I don't have an eye for the game the way other people do, but I definitely see things in the moment where I'm like, oh, that's probably been going on a lot more than I'm aware. And number 45, like I kept seeing number 45, and I feel like they were so high on him in the preseason, and then with the injury, it was pretty. I still don't know what injury it was. Regardless, it's great to have him back, because I can't help but think that a lot of those lanes, yes, it was the offensive line played very, very well. Then when you have that extra push, that extra blocker from Kabinda, or who, as we saw, I think that was one of Goff's overthrows. Kabinda has historically had good hands.
He dropped. Was it overthrow or drop? I think
he dropped
wide open twice.
Yeah,
Could have gotten a touchdown on one of them.
Yeah,
But
so
that
like
plays
I just think fullback, like I think that's just another weapon, and that's like when this offense was clicking early in the season, and we're like the highest scoring offense in the league, or second. Someone in The Athletic wrote this article that it's like a modern pass game, but with old school smash you in the mouth run game. And I can't help but think that Kabindo's a huge part of that. Just this massive brick of a human being, but who actually historically, last game aside, has good hands, can just put that run game over the edge and make guys like Justin Jackson your leading rusher. And to your point, I think you said this last week, Miko, when I wasn't here. We talked about why they don't run more two running back sets. And I'm very curious. Because like I kept thinking that, like watching the game, like why isn't Justin Jackson and DeAndre Swift or Jamal, like
times?
They did it more times.
They did it a couple times.
Oh, they did. Oh, okay.
They listened to the Questionable podcast. They put it in.
Big fans of the show.
They put it in this week a couple of times.
Because it's if you don't have a mobile quarterback, give the defense something to think about. Give them something to think about as far as, okay, is Swift going to stay in the backfield? Is he going to, flex out wide? Is he going to just run a route from the backfield? Is he going to stay in block? Because DeAndre Swift is your best blocking running back next to Jason Kabinda now that he's back. Like, you add so much mystery to your offense by just doing two quality running backs too, like two running backs that could gash you, that could hurt you if they're not accounted for. But yeah, to your point about Kabinda, I think the thing that's noticeable about Kabinda, and I feel like I've heard coaches say this in the past, when it comes to blocking, and even Dan Campbell's probably even said it, when it comes to blocking, because he was a blocking tight end, it's a mentality. It's something that you have to have like pride in. And it's hard to replicate that even if you're putting a tight end back there, even if you're putting Brock Wright or James Mitchell, and you're like, okay, you're going to play fullback. Those guys like maybe don't have the same sellout mentality that Jason Kabinda does, where he's like, dude, I started as a middle linebacker. The way I'm cutting my teeth and making my money in the NFL is by playing fullback. So I'm just going to sell out on every block because I'm probably not going to get a ball thrown to me at all this game. So the least I can do,
right,
is seal off this linebacker right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Also, probably in playing linebacker, he probably knows how much it sucks to have a fullback just come out of the blue and just hit you square in the chest.
Finish him.
A lot of that.
Deshaun Elliott's back. Love to see that. Love the way that dude plays, man.
I really don't like Okudah getting hurt either. That's a bummer.
No.
It didn't seem like that's the weird thing about concussions, man.
It didn't,
because it didn't
look
seem
that
bad.
No,
It didn't look bad at all. And then when they were like, he was out for a concussion, I'm like, well, that's him out for Thanksgiving.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the protocol and everything else. Even though, in some of the videos that we saw of the post-game celebration, he looks fine, but it's the simple fact that he has to do so many different things before he can even be cleared. Is kind of the frustrating part, because you're really, we'll jump into it later in the show, but like, you're really going to need him against Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
One
ahead,
thing,
John.
one thing I wanted to touch on before we move on to that is about the coaching and how we said there was this narrative that about Dan Campbell being hyper aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Being hyper aggressive and making these we've said it to death. There was the smart play, the aggressive play, and the stupid play, and he picked the stupid one. All that aside, I think that was against the Minnesota Vikings. But one thing that I think has become very clear is that Miko was right about the majority of the issues being personnel, and a lot of those calls, those hyper aggressive calls, we're not seeing. What's changed? Well, the defense is getting stops and your kicker is making field goals. So he has a defense that he can trust to make a stop, and he has a kicker he can trust to make a field goal. So
kind of.
Yeah, I don't have to go for it on every single fourth down. Like, yeah, I just think like a lot of those calls, like people were thinking like, oh, this is who he is as a coach. And I think as we're seeing now, I think, no, like this is who he is as a coach, because now he trusts his defense because the defense is producing. Now he trusts his kicker because his kicker is making field goals.
Kick.
And so, yeah, so I think that's an important little asterisk to this whole coaching and Dan Campbell's.
No, I want to double down on that, because I think it's even more so like, yes, his defense is finally showing up. Yes, his kicking game is reliable, but they're also winning. Like, so there's no longer like, there's not the desperate need to chase a win. And I think that's a lot of like you won 2 in a row. And I think someone said on Twitter, like, this was probably the first game that Dan Campbell's coached that like people can remember where he didn't go for a fourth down at all.
Oh shit, yeah.
And so, to your point, Gian, like it's not feeling the need to like have to sell out to get a win, because you've proven that you can win.
Right.
So it's like, okay, just as much as you're telling your players to stick to the game plan, do the same for yourself. And one more thing that I do want to say about Dan Campbell as well, and then we can kind of like move in whatever direction you guys want to. Gian asked the question last week, and we talked about it the week before, like, has this gained the coaching staff any wiggle room? The answer is still no. The answer is still no, because like the season is
no.
But
yeah, I'm with Miko.
The answer is still no. But what this 3-game win streak has proven is that Dan Campbell knows what he's talking about. Like there was a lot of talk to go kind of piggyback off of what John's saying as well, as like there was a lot of talk early in the season when they were losing about, is Dan the right guy? Is Dan making the right decisions? Even when he fired Aubrey Pleasant, like even we weren't sure like if that was the right move. Dan may not always make the right decision in the game, but he has proven, I think, over these last couple of weeks that he knows how to manage this team. We might be able to question his in-game decisions, but as far as managing this team and knowing what decisions need to be made to help this team succeed, as far as I've seen, like he's batting 1,000 when it comes to that.
And I'll agree with you on that, Miko, and I'm going to piggyback off that. I agree. I think that to me, it felt like it was one of the most confident games that I saw from him in a weird way, like from all the coaching staff, like the play calling, just his decisions. It just felt like they found a little bit of their rhythm, their vibe, and who they are through winning, right? They've kind of found their vibe and who they really found the identity. And in saying that, right, to that point, the team now, since they've won 3, they can trust Dan implicitly and they believe. So that's where I was going to go, is with the confidence that they have now from this win streak. So confidence is infectious and winning is addictive. And these guys now have tasted winning. They had a little bit of a run here for them, and they're having fun. So that having fun, they can play free. I thought that also it didn't feel like Jamal had the whole world on his back every run, or like it didn't feel like it just felt like that weight. They looked like they were having fun. They were enjoying it. Like they were just playing the game they love. And that's like, I got a little bit of a sense in watching that game. They were just having fun. Every touchdown celebration, it was just great. And that's rare to see as a Lions fan. The whole team, nobody pouting, everybody on the same page. And Dan Campbell's leading that ship, right? He's doing it. And so that's like leveling up, John, to your point. That's one stacking a couple wins. Now, Bills game, I don't think they win, right? We've talked about this, but
yeah,
if we ever were going to have a chance, it's after a 3-game win streak with a team believing that they can do it. Now, I don't think they do it. It's really hard without Okuda, so on and so forth. But if there was ever a chance for us to sneak one out, it would be Thanksgiving at home after a 3-game win streak. But anyway,
going for number 4. Yeah.
Going for 4, right.
Sorry, I don't have much time here, but I do want to ask you this. In the way, because I started the season, this might be a cursed question, so ignore it.
What?
If it is. I asked, if we beat the Eagles, what do you think the record is going into the bye?
Oh yeah.
If we win this game on Thanksgiving,
my gosh. John.
I mean, are we winning out?
No.
Who are we losing to? If we beat the Bills on
Minnesota.
Thanksgiving? You think we're going to lose to Minnesota at Ford Field after beating Bills at Ford Field?
Yeah.
Really?
They just got destroyed by Dallas, though.
You're not Dallas. You don't have Micah Parsons.
That's fair, but
you don't. No, but like, I mean, no, I'm like, being honest and being real, like, because I did that. I did the exact same thing you're talking about, John, and I looked at their schedule and I was like, okay, if everything goes right, if everything stays on track, if they were able to play, if they're able to play the same brand of football the rest of the way, who do they lose to? And it's Minnesota.
Bills.
No, if they beat the Bills,
okay,
it would be Minnesota would be the team that I would look at, and I would look really hard at the Green Bay game because it's in Green Bay in the middle of winter, and Aaron Rodgers may just be like, I just want one last FU to the to the Lions before I get up out of here.
Right.
Like, because that would be, because knowing the Lions' luck, like they would, if they beat the Bills, they would need that game against Green Bay to like get a wild card spot, and it would be something about that game where Aaron Rodgers like, if I'm not going to the playoffs, neither are these guys.
Yeah, right. Well, it always comes down to the last couple games. And so, and speaking of luck, John, do you want to respond to that real quick? Or
no, I think that's totally fair. I think like he might like he'll drop some DMT right before the game, and he'll be viewing the game. He'll be viewing the game through his third eye,
He's
and he will be
microdosing on the sideline.
Microdosing ayahuasca on the sideline, and his third eye is open, and he's just making plays that are god tier.
And John, I know
just to spite us one more time, just to like thumb his nose at the. I'll buy that.
But speaking of luck, I do, before you go, John, I know I sent it to you guys last night. I just want to bring up that Curse of Bobby Lane, and Peyton had Jeff Daniels try and remove the curse on Peyton's places. It's actually funny for those that haven't seen it. Check it out on ESPN. It was really.
They're 3-0 since it aired.
That's what I was saying. Since it aired, they're 3-0. They put a giant bathtub full of whiskey because Bobby Lane was just a total drunk, I guess, and coming to practices drunk and just would park on sidewalks. He was crazy. And so I just wanted to bring that up. Speaking of luck, maybe Peyton, thank you. Jeff Daniels, thanks. Keegan Michael Key was on there too for a minute.
Yeah. Gian, before you get out of here, I do want to get because we're gonna like switch gears a little bit. I do want to get your thoughts on Jameson Williams coming back to practice.
So I'm on the West Coast. I woke up to that text from you guys, like that. It's like that tweet, and oh man, it's so exciting. Like what we talked about, like these reinforcements coming back. Like what if, like all of these what ifs we talked about early in the season, like what if they start to string wins together as Pascal comes back, and then we get Kaminsky, because I think Kaminsky was the first one to come back, and then like what if Kaminsky and then Pascal and then Jameson's waiting in the wings, and all of this just kind of starts to roll at the right time, and it kind of starting to feel that way. I don't know how long he has. I'm assuming it's probably going to be another like 2 or 3 weeks still. But
yeah, people are saying the Jaguars game.
Okay. Yeah. Like, I don't think we're going to beat the Bills, like, especially not with Okuda out. Diggs is going to feast. I have a feeling. But again, you never know if the defensive line can dominate, then I think we may have a chance. But again, mobile quarterbacks are Achilles heel. Josh Allen can gash us. So I don't know. Regardless,
he's a big boy.
Yeah,
he is a big,
and as we saw with Justin Fields, like big, strong mobile quarterbacks. Like I feel like you have to like build. We're not there yet. I think we're still one draft away from being able to deal with athletes of that caliber. But so yeah, I think that's a loss. But even still, like I think the momentum is in our favor, and my God, like if they come back, then we don't need to have the constant discussions like, oh, is Reynolds, is Chark, like, because I mean, as much as I love those guys, like it's been a seesaw of health for them, and like if just Jameson, and then you've got Jameson and Amon-Ra at least, like even if Chark and Reynolds stay out, like Khalif, Raymond, St. Brown, Jameson, the emergence of like this tandem of Brock Wright and James Mitchell, like it seems to be working for the game plans that they have. It's all sunshine because we're winning. Because we're still winning.
But you forgot the most important part, Gian. Jameson coming back will finally tell us whether or not Jared Goff can throw the deep ball. If he if he keeps throwing, if he underthrows Jameson Williams,
oh man,
there you go.
Oh man, I'll be the giddiest person coming in here. They'll lose, and I'll come in here and I'll be so happy, and I'll be like, guess what?
See,
he can't hit the deep ball.
Yeah, but but then you run it like as we saw against Miami. Tyreek was so fast. He would run his route and hit his spot, and then like he would have the time to like run back to catch the underthrow ball.
Running.
Yeah, stop running, come back, and then
still go.
No. Just because Miami wants to play those games doesn't mean we have to.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I agree. We will see. I can't wait to see him, dude.
Yeah. Oh man.
I told you guys in the text, like it's the first time I've been like excited about something the Lions have done in the last couple weeks. Even with the wins, like I was happy, but I wasn't excited. I was just like, okay, they're winning. Still 4-6. Like,
right.
Yeah, I love how you amended that. You're like, I was not lying when I said a few weeks ago that I was like emotionally broken from this team, and that like nothing will get me excited again.
The funny thing is, I didn't realize it until yesterday's win. Like they won 3 in a row. I should be like jumping for joy and being like, hell yeah, we won 3 in a row. And I was like, all right. I like literally just changed the channel.
Miko,
oh, man, that's so sad.
Well, I was like, cool, man. Like I got more excited, like seeing other people's excitement. Like it was like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, this is a really good thing. I'm not mad. I'm not bitter. I'm not like, oh, they should be losing. But it's just like, I still like the benchmark that I think I've set for this team. Like I just want them to hit that, right? Get your 6 wins at least, and give me the confidence that this rebuild is going in the right direction.
God, talk about the doing it a harder way than they could have. Do you know what I mean? Like doing it a tough way, like
and dude, like yeah, cause
a roller coaster.
Yeah, like it's this weird thing. Like people are doing it already, where it's like, well, technically, if you look at how tough their first 5, like I don't care. You lost 5 straight. I don't care what the stats say, how difficult your schedule is now. You lost 5 games straight, and a lot of those you were in them,
right?
Yeah, and a lot of you were leading. Not only winning, you were leading for 55 minutes, 60-minute game. And you lost.
It's like,
so
like I don't want to hear like, well, technically now, like now you should win. Like there's going to be a huge expectation down the stretch. Like after Buffalo, you're going against teams that are just as bad, if not worse than you. You should beat them all.
Yeah. So I wanted to say that was this: the hotter the fire, the sharper the harder the steel. And I think that's going to be the story of the Lions, of the 2022 Detroit Lions. The hotter the fire, the harder the steel. And there you go. And then I got to go.
All right, Gio.
Well, before you go, then give us your quick Bills the score prediction.
I'm gonna go 31-24 Bills.
Ooh, nice. I like that score. It's not disrespectful or hurtful. It means I can actually watch probably the entire game.
Well, dude, it's nuts. Like it's on at 9 a.m. here, which is like when's the game?
Noon.
Yeah, 9 a.m. So like I got that while I prep, because we got family coming over, and gotta meet the granddaughter, gotta meet the great granddaughter. Or if they've already met, but they got a first Thanksgiving, so I got prep, but like
everyone's
9 a.m.
to the Hendricks household.
It's the passing of the baby to everyone. It's just a constant like, just pass me the gravy and the baby.
The gravy and the baby. Oh my gosh.
Well, all right, guys. Thanks. This was I had a lot of fun. I was glad I got to do this. Thanks.
All right, Gian. Thanks for taking the time, bro.
Yeah, for sure. See you next week.
Later, Gian. Little LA to LA. So VIP. Had to roll out.
Yeah, man. All right. So I do want to I didn't get to really go too much in on like the whole Jameson Williams things. Like I do think it's going to be great for this offense, though. I do think it just gives you another threat to contend with, because right now, like they're force feeding Amon-Ra at this point, and it's not going to work against everyone. Like you're going to come up against some of these matchups. Specifically, the Jets is the one that I would look at. Like having Jameson back at least for that matchup, so that you don't have to have Amon-Ra paired up with Sauce for the entire game.
Yeah,
is going to be a huge just benefit to them.
And do we play Minnesota before Jacksonville?
No, we play Jacksonville right after Buffalo.
Well, that would also help us against the Vikings too, right? If he's playing, that would really help.
Yeah.
Because to your point, if we can just get a little bit off of Amon-Ra, and I worry about all the targets. It's also all the hits. I don't want him getting hurt. That's he's getting hit because he's crossing the middle. You know what I mean? He's all over and he's getting hit. He's a tough dude, but like he's taking some hits. Even this yesterday, I was like, "Oh, dude, are you okay?"
Yeah, he took one from one of the linebackers. I was like, oh,
Ooh, I know which one you're talking about because I was like, oh, please don't be hurt. Please don't be hurt.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Chark got a couple snaps yesterday. Clearly, he's not, they're just trying to ease him in, probably back into conditioning shape. You're going to need more from him against the Bills. And then you get Jameson back, hopefully against the Jaguars. I begged like the Lions on Twitter, like, can we just get like one go route from Jameson this week? Just one. Like he doesn't have to play the whole game. Just one go route. Yeah, just one go route.
So since they activated him, can you clarify this? So he can practice, but do they have to activate him for a game then? He gets activated for a game?
So he has 3 weeks. He has 3 weeks to practice, but he can be activated like the same way Chark was. Chark, they started his clock last week, but then they activated him on Saturday because he's already been, the way Jeremy explained it from Pride of Detroit, the way he explained it was Chark's already in, like he's already gone through training camp. He's probably in good enough shape. He probably won't play a ton of snaps, which he didn't. But yeah, you activate someone's clock just to hopefully like see where they are physically. That's why like they didn't activate Romeo, even though Romeo and Chark's clock started at the same time.
Got it. I mean, oh gosh, I don't know. Do they dress him? Get the fans crazy? Because
don't do that to the fans.
Thursday's going to be nuts regardless. Like Detroit is going to show up on Thursday. Like I can't wait to watch that game because Ford Field is going to be bonkers. It'll be so loud. The Bills won't be able to hear anything.
Yeah.
They just played there. They're like, they're comfortable. Wait till our fans get there after.
Yeah, wait till it's our fans. Yeah, wait till it's our fans that you have to deal with. Yeah, I think
win streak. Yeah. We have 3 games at home now too. It's the Bills, right? Jags
and Minnesota
at home, so we can settle in.
Yeah,
we play better at home.
I was gonna say that's going to be like, so that is going to be the other benefit of like as far as a fan, right? Is that even if they don't play JMO this week, you still get 2 weeks to probably see him. You probably will see him against Jacksonville. You'll probably see him against Minnesota.
I hope so, man. Just looking at his highlight reel again. I sent that out this morning. I'm like, oh my god. Now,
dude,
granted, college, but
well, the thing that kept
fast as shit.
The thing that kept killing me with it though is like, this is Bryce Young throwing it to him, and I'm like there's one of his highlight reels where the first play, like Bama's like within their 5-yard line, and Bryce Young just launches this, and JMO doesn't catch it until he's like, I think almost like at midfield or like at the 45 or something like that. And I'm like, dude,
it's a bomb. Yeah,
it's a bomb. And I'm like, unfortunately, my first thought was, I don't know, I don't think Jared Goff could make that throw. That was literally my first thought.
My first thought too. And then, yeah, I mean, yeah, we need get those two back together.
I mean, if the Rams keep being terrible,
I mean,
we have a chance.
Yeah, they are bad. Stafford's out. I mean, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Well, because look what they did in before we predict this. I mean, like Cincinnati, right? Burrow. Yeah. I mean, the teams that are doing it, they have that connection. They got their timing down, and that translates. That translates. So
that's why I'm as a fan, I'm perfectly fine with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud if the Lions had like continued to be terrible and got a top pick. I was gonna be fine with either one because I'm like, both of those guys have thrown to Jameson Williams in some capacity, so both of them, like, the chemistry would be there. Now again, Lions are winning. It's not likely that they get that high with their pick, but again, Rams got to think of something. The problem is like they don't have draft picks, so like they kind of can't pack it in. They gotta still try to win.
And the rest of their schedule, if I recall, is not a cakewalk either.
It is brutal.
Yeah,
it is rough.
And they got no Cooper Kupp. Stafford's in concussion protocol, or might be going into concussion protocol. They don't know yet.
He probably is because he just came out, and so if he has another concussion after just coming out of concussion protocol, he's gonna get the Tua treatment. I mean, now Matthew Stafford has probably a little more cachet than Tua does. but
True.
he might get the Tua treatment where it's like, nah, bro, you got to sit for like 2 weeks. You can't get back-to-back concussions.
Yeah, and if they don't have
and
him,
go play again.
dude, they got nothing. I mean, so yeah, and wouldn't that be something too? Like, just
Lions still get a top 5 pick.
Like, talk about, I mean, really, how many bounces have gone the wrong way for us as Lions fans for years, right? How many things, how many draft picks, how many, right? Like look at Aiden. We've been so like PTSD, even for other draft picks. Like Aiden looks like he might be the guy. Like he was graded what in the 80s at Kayvon. Now, I mean, different, but like I didn't even know Kayvon was on the field, like we talked about. Like I didn't see him do much.
I did. They asked Kayvon to do a lot of. Kayvon plays way more like outside linebacker than Aiden does, because Kayvon dropped in coverage a lot, and I was like, that's really weird for me.
So they're
like,
asking.
And again, it's not to excuse Kayvon's performance, but they do play. It feels like they play 2 different positions entirely. Like Aiden obviously dropped and got that interception, so he drops sometimes. I saw Kayvon drop a lot, and I was like, it's an interesting thing. But no, like it's looking like the Lions got the better draft pick, and at least their draft pick is developing a lot quicker. Right. Like they still have their entire careers to figure out who's the true alpha, and they both could turn out to be great alphas. But like right now, yeah, Aiden's hitting his stride, and this is not. I don't know. I'm not gonna apologize for the criticism I've levied his way, because I feel like it was due.
He needed that. We were told he was plug and play, ready to go. He was not.
Listen,
here
you're just. He had 3 sacks going into the bye. He had 3 sacks, and they were losing games. The only game that they the one thing that is that seems consistent a little bit, and it's a stretch. It's a huge stretch. When Aiden has played well, they have won. Now, the caveat to that is that it's not just Aiden playing well. It is that entire defensive unit playing well. But small sample size, like when Aiden plays well and he's being impactful, yeah, like that defense looks different and everything kind of flows a little differently. So yeah, I almost kind of feel like that almost justifies the criticism. Like when he wasn't doing anything and he was just running down the middle of tackle's chest, they lost games.
It completely justifies your point. That's why we were so hard on him. That's why it was so painful to watch. And now it's like, okay, this is what we expected. This is what we were told. Now I see it. Thank goodness, right? We see it, because it'd be much worse if we weren't seeing it, So I'm just happy we're seeing it, like some progression, some growth.
Right? No, absolutely.
Yeah, seeing it from him, the other rookies, Kirby, right? I mean, Rodrigo's just been balling out himself, but like, look, this talent. I mean, we have some talent. We don't have it all, right? We talked about personnel. We need to fill out.
They still need linebackers. They still need. Right. They probably still need some corners. They still need another defensive tackle.
Yep.
Like, yeah, this defense still needs help. Like, it's not a finished product, but it's the game planning that Dan and AG are putting together defensively gives me hope. Gives me hope for what this defense can be the rest of this year, and it gives me hope for what they could potentially do going into Buffalo. Like, that game plan was solid, and those guys executed it in a way that I like. If you would have told me that they were going to like shut down Saquon to that degree, 1.5 yards a carry, I would have told you were smoking crack. Just straight up.
I didn't think it would be like that. I thought we could stop him like a little bit, but I didn't think
70 yards. Like, yeah,
shut him down.
Yeah, like I'm thinking like, okay, 70 yards, because we picked the game to be close. Like you picked them to lose, but I picked them to win. But we both were like, it'll be close. It'll be within a field goal. Right. No, they shut down the run game, and then there was nothing else to be done the rest of the game. And then it was just like, now shutting down Josh Allen will be a little bit tougher because he doesn't have to just run at a line. Like, he has actual options.
Right.
But it gives me hope that it's like if you can just generate pressure, because one thing that Josh Allen does poorly is like he doesn't know how to give up on a play,
He'll force
and
it.
that he will
That's
force
how
a
the
play.
Jets. Well, that's how the Jets got him, right? I mean, that's the blueprint a little bit of how to make him uncomfortable.
Yeah, you make him feel himself a little bit too much and make him trust his arm and make him trust that he can just will a play to happen because he can and he will. Like Thursday, he will make some stuff happen that you're like that should not have that should have not worked, but he's gonna make it happen. You just have to force him into enough of those situations where next thing you know, guys like Kirby are getting interceptions or guys like
Just
guys
gonna
in the
say
second.
Kirby. I was just gonna say Kirby. Like if you can get him to force it, Kirby can maybe make that play, swat
Mhm.
it away at least, but maybe can grab it.
Yeah. Yeah. So like that's what gives me a little bit of hope going into Buffalo because Jeremy actually shared something about like where Buffalo ranks as far as like offensively and their DVOA and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
This Buffalo team is legit. So they're currently second in points. They average 28.1 points per game. Fourth in points allowed. They only give up 17.4.
Oof.
First in overall DVOA, sixth in offensive DVOA, fourth in pass, 20th in the run, third in defensive DVOA, seventh in the pass, third in the run. Now, again, the thing that gives me hope though is that you just went against the Giants who had a better run defense, like one of the best run defenses in the league, and you still were able to be productive. Right? Like it took a committee, it wasn't like one, but it like you were still productive. The Giants were also one of the best teams in the red zone. You still went every time you got in the red zone, you got points. So it's like I don't know that, and it could be a trap. Maybe I'm falling for just falling for a little bit for the bait. But Dan Campbell and company have done a really good job game planning the last 3 weeks. I feel like they will do another good job game planning the Bills for this week.
Well, yeah, they kind of have to, and this is a big, and to your point, this is a huge test, and this is one of those games in which, right, we keep it close. That proves a point, right? We don't get blown out, and it can prove a point. I think it's a little bit. Now they've won the 3 games, but if they keep it close, more validation of we're going the right direction, right? We can hang with these guys. I mean, it's the Bills, it's the Chiefs. I mean, they have a full squad, right? Like we're talking, they have personnel. I mean, I worry about Jared Goff with Von Miller coming up. I mean,
Von Miller. They have 2 really good safeties in Buffalo. I don't know. I feel like one of them might be hurt, but if they're not, they have 2 really good safeties in Buffalo.
I mean, yeah, their defense is they got a lot. They got lots of skilled players over there. So, yeah,
This is one of those games where you're going to have to sit your defense down and be like, "Hey, you guys are going to have to probably carry the load for 4 quarters." Because the offense is probably going to take a little bit of time for them to kind of get their bearings.
Thankfully, you can get the D to buy in because they've been creating turnovers the past couple of games. They're having fun. Like, yeah, we got it. Like, so going in not scared, like being like, okay, like taking it seriously, but not scared. Like we could do this, right? I'm sure they're gonna watch the Jets tape and probably the Cleveland tape too. That was a lower scoring game.
Yeah, they hung with Cleveland for a while too.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see, because I don't know how. I mean, I don't think Josh Allen is super hurt, but I think his elbow's bugging him.
Yeah, probably, and I think, and again, that's going to probably cause him to press a little bit, right? He's going to probably force a couple throws that he probably shouldn't. He's going to probably force a couple run plays that he probably shouldn't. And the defense just has to do what they've done the last 3 weeks. Like, let's not sugarcoat it. The reason the Lions are on a 3-game win streak is because this defense has showed up for 3 weeks.
Correct.
Flat out. The reason this team has 4 wins is because this defense has showed up for 4 games. Like, there's no sugarcoating that. And so, if you're Aaron Glenn, if you're Dan Campbell, not to slight the offense because the offense still has to pick their moments. Like Dan kind of said in his post game, like, hey, you picked your moments, you dominated when you had to. that's what you need to do, right? Like Jared Goff, don't feel like you have to win every single down. Like let the plays come to you. And offensive line, just hold up. Hold up as much as you can because I feel like this game is going to be going one of two ways. And I feel like any game, we could say that about any game, but I really do feel like this game is going to go one of two ways where it's going to be really close to the end or the Lions get the Vikings treatment that the Vikings got from the Cowboys where it's like 40-3 and we're turning the game off after like the second quarter.
My gut is it's not going to go that way because it's at home. If we were in Buffalo, maybe. But where I was going to go with this is, to me, this is a really good opportunity for the Lions, like where we need Swift. Like he needs to like get some carries, and that he needs to be the one getting the ball because he's so dynamic. That would, again, I just think that like you've said, he's so dynamic and he is still such a talent. That's the player we need in a game like that.
Like, well, you need, yeah, I feel like to your point, yeah, like it feels like a game where you're going to need your playmakers to shine because Buffalo's going to have theirs.
Correct.
Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are going to come to play.
Yeah.
So you need your star.
You can count on 2 touchdowns for that. So you're spotting 14 points. Okay, so we're down 14.
Yeah,
right there.
And so you need your star players to do the same. You need Amon-Ra, you need Swift, and you can't. It bugs me so much. And I don't know, people probably in the comments are probably like, but Miko, they're winning. Like listen, I'm happy they're winning, but it does bug me to see like your best offensive player, second best offensive player, if you want to say that St. Brown is better, like consistently on the sideline or consistently not getting touches. Like that bugs me. Because it's just like, to your point that you made earlier, Scotty, how is he ever supposed to get into a rhythm?
Yeah, that's my big thing is he can't. And you can see it. He doesn't have a feel for the game. And so when people critique him on runs or, mistakes he made, it's because he's not in a rhythm. I mean, I don't care who you are. And like, if you're not playing more snaps, if you're playing less snaps than you're used to, you can't get in the rhythm. You don't have a feel for the game. You're in, you're out. I mean, I thought as the game went on, he had a better feel, but like, yeah, there's a flow of a game, and when you're in it more, you could, you feel it, and that's got to be hard. It's the hardest thing to be in, like with just correlating to soccer in college. When I'd come off the bench, and you have to warm up in the game. It doesn't matter, when I was a freshman, so it's hard. Go ahead.
I was gonna say no because I have this pulled up. The first 4 games that DeAndre Swift played. So not the first 4 weeks, but the first 4 games that he did play. He only played on 50% of the snaps or less once. So in every other game, the first game he played 67%, second game 51%, third game 41%. I think that's the game he got hurt. Then he came back in week 8, 55% of the snaps. Since then, 16% of the snaps against Green Bay, 31% of the snaps against Chicago, 31% of the snaps against the Giants. Like that's not acceptable in my opinion. Again, they're winning, that's great, but how do you ever expect him to return to form? Like he's not getting the same type of opportunities to get into a rhythm, to get into a flow and be able to really see, like you're putting him, it's almost to the point like what they were originally doing with Justin Jackson and Craig Reynolds. You put them in there to spell the other guys, and it's like, well, hey, if something good happens, great, but really just go in there and like give Jamal a blow. And it's like DeAndre Swift is too talented to be. He's too talented to be treated like that.
Agree. Now, I have a thought as you're talking, as we were saying that Dan and company has done a good job scouting and preparing for these past 3 weeks, these games.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and you did say that maybe, they're trying to keep Swift fresh for later in the season. But like, to me, this is a game we need Swift, and we're going to have he'll have to do 50%, 60%. Like this is
at least up into the 40s. At least up into the 40s.
I think more. I mean, I think that's the type of talented player we need to stay in games like this. Mm-hmm. Like and so he's going to have to carry some of the load. Like with a D, right? They're gonna have to carry the load, and Amon-Ra and Swift are gonna have to carry this offensive load, and those are the players, and so maybe it, and again, just making sure he's getting touches, and I don't know, but I'm theorizing that this is why we kind of gave him a rest to heal up, and because we're gonna lean on you this week on Thanksgiving. You're gonna get the rock, and we need you. So,
I mean, again, this could all turn out to be a moot point if he does. If he ends up having a big role against Buffalo, if he goes on to have a big role in all the other games, because again, they could still lose to Buffalo.
I think it makes your point though, too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
At a moot point, it makes your point.
But I mean, if they lose to Buffalo, then yeah, and if he's healthier going into Jacksonville and he's healthier going into Minnesota, and you win those games, well, then who cares if you lost to Buffalo? If he goes out and he wins, if to feed into John's thought process, and they win out, you lose to Buffalo, but DeAndre Swift's a little bit healthier, and you can now run the table, and you do run the table. Well, then yeah, I guess I would look a little foolish and like questioning it, but I think to your point, yeah, it would also kind of justify in that, like, we'll see how much of an impact he has.
Right. Yeah.
So, but all right, score predictions.
Jinx.
Okay, John said 31-24.
Yes.
Okay. Whew.
I can go. I think 31-21. Bills. I gotta go. Superstition. I gotta pick the other team. I do think it's Bills though. But I think 31-21. Because that's right over their average too of 17. So it's like we can get, I think we can get 3 scores on them.
All right.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna keep up with my trend of also picking them to win because
love it. Superstition.
So I am going to go Lions 31.
Oh boy.
Bills 28. Give me 3 weeks of scoring 31.
Money Badger field goal to win the game.
Yep. Give me 3
Swift slant. Off the Swift
off of a
40-yarder.
Off of a deep pass to DJ Chark to get him into field goal range.
No.
There it is.
DJ
Lions win 4 in a row. We all get to enjoy our Thanksgiving.
Oh my god.
And we start talking playoffs next week.
I mean, because if they win, everyone's gonna start talking playoff. That's
Dude,
it.
You have to play Jacksonville.
Talk about us.
You have to play Jacksonville, Carolina, the Jets, the Bears, and the Packers again. It's plausible.
Yeah, no,
it would be if you beat the Bills, it becomes more plausible.
Correct.
Because as we sit here today, I expect them to beat Jacksonville. Now, that feels like the trap game. If we're talking about any of these games that feel like a trap game, Jacksonville feels like a trap game.
Agree.
Jacksonville 100 because you just don't. Which version of Trevor Lawrence are you getting?
Correct. If we can get to him,
yeah. Because if you get bad Trevor Lawrence, great. If you get good Trevor Lawrence and that run game is going, Lions are in for a tough one.
Mm-hmm.
But you should theoretically beat Jacksonville. You should theoretically beat Carolina because I don't care who the quarterback is at Carolina. I really don't.
They're a dumpster fire right now in Carolina. They're a mess.
And the Jets, Zach Wilson might get stomped out by his own team. I kind of. Dude might get jumped in his own locker room.
Dude, that team hates him.
Dude,
that's a Geno Smith. Remember, was it Geno in the Jets when he got knocked the?
Bro,
was that the Jets?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They'll turn on a quarterback over there fast.
Dude, the nerve to stand in front of a camera and be like,
nope,
nah, didn't let that one. Yeah, not my fault.
My fault.
Bro, Quinnen Williams is gonna want to have words with you.
I'm sure he did.
Like somebody should. Bro, like we can't. I'm not walking in the locker room next day and being like, "What's up, Zach?" No, like, yo, you gonna have to see me. Forget that red no contact jersey. I am blowing you up. First whistle. I am lighting you up.
Oh my gosh.
I will pay whatever fine, but you gonna know, like, oh, he's pissed. He heard the
dude,
he
they're
saw the
all
video.
pissed. They're all talking about it. Like they're all throwing shade at him. Like they're not happy. They're pissed. So
Yeah.
who's the backup over there? For the
Joe Flacco?
Is it Flacco?
Yeah. Unless he's hurt for the season, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Joe Flacco. And if it's not Joe Flacco, it's Matt White or Mike White.
Mike White. Yeah, I mean Flacco actually,
They won games with Flacco, I believe.
I know they did. All right, man. So, my gosh, I know Thanksgiving. It's already here.
Yeah, man.
It's craziness.
Busy week.
Yeah, telling me. Yeah. So, man, I think it's about it. Right? We covered it all. Anything else? Anything else we're missing? JMO. Oh, I didn't really say anything much. I'm just so excited for big play JMO. Can't wait.
I just can't wait for his first touchdown in the crane. Just touchdown crane.
Yeah, just keep it rolling. Do you think we're gonna have him do kick returns? Like, is he gonna do?
Not this year.
Do it.
Not this
Don't
year.
want him getting hurt. Like,
no. They've taken enough hits at wide receiver where they're like, you will play wide receiver and wide receiver only, and then probably next year you might see him take a couple punts. Like you'll see what they do. Oh man, what team was it? Is it the Rams that sometimes throw Cooper Kupp back there?
yes.
Yeah, like you'll see them do stuff like that where it's like where they want a big play, and they'll throw JMO back there, or like the Patriots used to do that with like Edelman. Where Edelman,
he was pretty good on it. I mean, he could make a play.
Yeah, where like he wasn't there like every snap returner, but like when they needed a big play, they would throw him back there. So I think that's what you'll see with JMO is like not often, but if it's tied to the game and they're like, yo, we need a big return, they'll throw him back there. I don't want to see him as a gunner though. Don't do that.
Oh no. No, well, I'm excited to see what happens, and then we can start talking about that trade up to get him too. Right? There's that. I mean, not anytime soon, but we can start assessing that as well.
He will have somewhere between 6 or 7 games to make an impact, and we'll see what type of impact that is. I would love for him to like rack up 100 yards over those 6 games. I want to finish with 600 yards receiving.
Oh my
You're
God.
like, well,
there you go. Thanks for playing.
Pick justified.
All right. Be amazing. So, all right, man. So that's it. We'll wrap. Thank you. That was great.
Yeah,
yeah, dude. That's a good one. John, love having John, and so funny.
Yeah, man. Good seeing the baby.
Oh my gosh, adorable.
Yeah.
Mini John.
You guys didn't get to see the baby, but we got to see the baby before.
We got to see the baby before. Yep. Adorable baby. So again, thank you everybody for listening to the Questionable Podcast. Please again, like, follow, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit that subscribe button too on YouTube. We appreciate you. We appreciate your listening. We appreciate your comments. Rodrigo, we got these pieces we're dropping off tomorrow. Excited about that. We got our Black Friday sale currently live online.
30% off. So, and you still get free shipping on any order over $75. So,
get them.
Head over there.
So, yeah. So that's it. I want to thank the fam. I want to thank the crew. Miko, I want to thank you. I want to thank Gian. And yeah, Miko.
Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody that watches, everybody that's been commenting. Just a couple people that come to the top of mind. Luke, Dr. Detroit. Shoot, there's a couple other people that like you guys have been like hanging out the last couple weeks, and like I really do. I appreciate you guys chopping it up with us, having really good conversation, really good debates. I'm sure something that we said about Hutch is probably getting debated. I'm sure something we said about JMO is getting debated, but it's all love. So yeah, like Scotty said, hit the like button, subscribe, continue to leave comments, share these videos with your friends, your enemies, your mama, your mama's boyfriend, whoever.
That's what's up. All right. Well, that's it for today. Thanks again, everybody. This is the Questionable Podcast. Out.